Hey there, people. Hope you're doing great as always. Welcome to the Financial Fortress, and let's get into it. Today we're talking about Palantir. PLTR is the ticker symbol, and they reported the earnings today. And it was an interesting experience. Obviously, I will stress this very much. As a long-term investor, you don't want to be caught up in this in the short term, right? But at the same time, you want to listen to the conference call, you want to look at the presentation and check if the story is still intact, right? Because you probably have some idea, right, where you want your company to go over the long term. And with Palantir, you really have to have that long-term outlook. And, if you kind of look at the price action, actually, let me pull this up. It was quite vicious. The stock sold out 15% down below 12 now, which is literally the worst it's been in a year. Was it justified? In my opinion, not at all. Not at all. But of course, the market was, kind of selling out today, the whole day. So that obviously helped. But let's look at the actual presentation and what we are supposed to expect, right? And I will try to keep this relatively short, likely under 10 minutes, so we can kind of, look at the most important stuff. And I highlighted something here in the presentation, so this is going to be quick. Revenue growth 34%. PLTR is guiding for 30% up until 2025. Check. Government revenue growth slowing down. I will slightly talk about it more. That's fine. There is only a limited amount of contracts that you can get with the government. That's fine with me. The commercial growth, that's the important part. There is a vast amount of businesses and most of them are still not using Palantir, and all of them should, because it will benefit them greatly. It will benefit America. It will benefit kind of the long-term growth, because technology will help us in the long term, right, to outrun some of the intricacies we might have, considering inflation, considering kind of the overall well-being. We should invest more in technology. It will improve our life, make us more efficient, and that's the main thing why I'm invested in the Palantir. What's next? Obviously, I want to highlight this slide as well. When it has to work, there is only Palantir. Palantir is really spreading their tentacles across all the industries, right? They really want to be a one-stop shop for everything, from manufacturing to healthcare to finances, crypto, kind of investing in startups, really trying to be a backbone, trying to be the operating system that the Western world operates on. And they are succeeding slowly. But that now it's the time when the product is built out, obviously still improving, but now it's the time to really sell this to everyone. And that's kind of the main point over the next, I would say, 2-3 years. Really see how fast they can scale, and that's one of the main points I'm looking into, and I really want to see their efforts in that area. Because if we basically look a little further out, total customers grew 71%. That's also important, kind of, again, spreading their wings, not being so concentrated, and basically scaling kind of a downstream based on the total addressable market, right? Attracting also kind of the mid-size enterprises and, just being everywhere. That's kind of the main point, right? Because if your competitor has Palantir, then you have to have Palantir as well, because it's just an unfair advantage. So, U.S. commercial sales investment will fuel fiscal year 2020 growth. So, Palantir added 80 new salespeople in 2021, and they are new. And the deals that Palantir is making are big. The sales cycle is long. There are basically like 3 phases that their customers are going through. They always first need to kind of go there, deploy the software. It takes a certain level of time. Some people are saying that Palantir is consultancy. It's not a consultancy, but it requires certain level of time and manpower spent at the very beginning, right? Deploying that software. And only after that, the customers kind of scales, and sometimes, you just have to, implement Palantir on a little part of the business. And only then when the customer sees all the advantages, they can deploy it on a larger scale. So, it just takes time, and, lots of these enterprises, they are not as flexible as should be. If you worked in corporate world, you probably, have experienced that when, trying to make some changes in a corporate world, it's like, throwing bricks towards a wall. It's hard. But if you go with Palantir, it will definitely help. But now's the critical point. In probably Q1, maybe Q2, we're still not going to see much of the change, I would say, right? Because all the results we are basically seeing now in this presentation, that's still from that organic process of sales, right? Before the sales team. And that's actually quite impressive, right? That they are putting these numbers out. And it seems like kind of across the US, the Palantir is starting to spread, in a sense, like organically. But now with this new salespeople, it will most likely, and that's what I'm really going to monitor, produce a great result. But we are going to see these results, I would probably say, in the second half of 2022. So, this next 2 quarters, in my opinion, still are going to be a little bit rocky. We might not see, any significant numbers, but I'm kind of suspecting like we might see an acceleration of growth again once, these salespeople really get kind of embedded in the Palantir culture. They understand the product on a super high level, because obviously sales, it's a lot about building a relationship and knowing your product very well, in order to be able to, basically answer to all the customers' questions. And, once these salespeople go full speed ahead, I really suspect that the second half of 2022 might be interesting, and we will probably see acceleration. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of aiming towards. And now one maybe more of a negative point. The government momentum is slowing very fast, as you can see here. As I mentioned, it's not as easy to, there is just not enough of work, in a sense, if it can be said like that. Obviously government is very inflexible, and it's amazing that it's still growing, right? But it's not going to be something that pushes Palantir beyond, maybe I would say, like 50 billion market cap. Yeah, like no freaking way. Like if Palantir is supposed to be happen, what lots of people see, it needs to go through the commercial sector. That's my point of view. And one more thing that's kind of hidden here in the remarks, and that's something I'm a little negative about. One of the metric I was following, and they used to have it in the presentation, was the remaining total deal value. And during the last presentation, if I'm not mistaken, in like the last quarter, it was 3.6 billion remaining deal value, and now it's 3.8. So almost flat, in a sense, right? Maybe it's an increase in year-over-year period, but during the last quarter they just added 200 million. It's well, yeah, flat out, like this is not enough to sustain the growth that they are projecting. But that kind of ties with my previous rant about the salespeople going full speed ahead. So it's crucial that Palantir seems to be aware of this problem, that basically the deals they are having now are only enough to fuel the growth for the next year. So I will be super closely watching how many deals are there closing. So these were basically my 2 cents about the Palantir earnings. Obviously still very bullish about the company, But of course, you need to watch your eggs in the basket, right? Especially if if you're having a significant position in one company, if you're running a concentrated portfolio, having limited amount of stocks, and trying to really, go for the high quality companies and growth companies, you need to be like a hawk and really try to get all the information you can and understand your investment on a super high level, especially in such a complex endeavor, complex enterprise as Palantir is. So hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe or press the like button or whatever, all right, if you would be so kind to do so. That's what people on YouTube are supposed to say, right? And hope to see you again soon. Take care.